Hello everybody, it's True Detective, the almost 30 years old wizard of YouTube here, with my wizard hat talking and shining a light upon you from my past about anime and what were my favorite anime shows. Well, we have to start with how I got into anime. It was a summertime and I was about 16 years old. Maybe 15 years old. And I discovered this streaming site. I'm not gonna mention the name. And there was a show there about an MMORPG world where these anime characters were stuck in. They couldn't log out. And this show was called Sword Art Online. And I was instantly hooked to that because I had been an MMORPG addict. And this show really spoke to me. And it was great entertainment to watch that. That was my first kind of real anime that I watched. What were my favorite animes? Well, let's go through the catalog. Well, there was Hellsing Ultimate and the old Hellsing anime. That was about a vampire with a pistol, just shooting whatever, were they bad guys or good guys. It's pretty interesting type of a show and very dark, but it's not my favorite anime. If I would have to tell you my favorite animes, I would say Steins Gate, a time travel show, and then probably maybe like Gundam Exia. So that's the newer Gundam, something like 2007. Then probably Lucky Star, so that's slice of life like cute girls, type of drinking tea and eating cake. And then there was this Kuroko no Basket show about basketball. Hajime no Ippo, that's not really an anime that I really liked, but it was about boxing. And then there was animes about drawing manga, like Bakuman. That was one of my favorites. Bakuman, that was great. And probably I have to say One Piece too, because One Piece, I watched that 600 episodes of it. So I probably had to like it, but it was good up to about 200 episodes, then it kind of tanked. And Gintama, comedical, Sunrise Animation too. What else? Like some animes like Bakemonogatari that is very, liked by a lot of people. I didn't really dig that. I thought it was pretty shit. But something like Clannad or Clannad, that was a very good show too. I really dig that. Then there was the Ufotable animations like Fate Stay Night. I thought they were pretty kind of overrated. I didn't really dig those. Some old Gundams, like the old Gundam movies from the 70s that cut out all the filler from the 50 episode original Gundam series. That was great. Then there was that show Kaiji with the gambler. I really dig that show too. It was one of the most kind of suspense intense shows, and it had a real message like don't get into gambling debts. It had a real message behind it. And then there was some animes that I really liked from Kyoto Animation, like the one with the intro where the character spins her fingers like that. What was that freaking called? Junibya. That was really fun, and that studio Kyoto Animation, it had great animations. And then there was some stuff that really kind of how could I say it, like made me understand that this is a real freaking phenomena out there. And one of those animes was an animation movie called Ghost in the Shell that was later adapted to Western movie, and I actually went to watch that in the film theater, like in this town. But the animation is so much better. Like the way that movie kind of like made me understand that in this world there is human beings that can envision this type of stuff. You know, it really opened something in me. And then there was Neon Genesis Evangelion. And if you compare the series to the movies, I would say that the movies are pretty shit, and the series is pretty no, well, it's one of those overrated animes too. In the anime world, there's a lot of overrated series. Attack on Titan, it was one of those series that really like hit you hard when it came out. I was watching it when it came out, by the way. You know, like from the first episode. And I was always on that schedule. You know, I was just always on that schedule. I was watching what animes are coming out, what time is it, you know, and you know, the fan sub scene, at least back then, it was just great. You could get torrents out of this, you know, these episodes like that, you know, like you had private trackers back then for anime. You could get Blu-ray quality there, and then the streaming became a lot better. You could see full HD animation streamed, but streaming sites like the one I don't mention over here, the problem with it is that they choose the shows for you, and they are pretty much, you know, just a very small sliver of what anime could do. And they wouldn't have shows like Ergo Proxy, which was very kind of depressing and, you know, grim. And then even grimmer shows like Technolides, and even grimmer shows like Serial Experiments Lane. You know, these were kind of like the dark stuff. And then there was Boogiepop Phantom. Boogiepop Phantom was one of my favorite animes, you know, and one of the later ones I watched. It was so kind of, you know, philosophical. There's like this message of like existential message there. I dig that. And then there was the Aria Animation. Aria Animation was great, and it was also one of these, you know, easy watching, like, you know, it was just very peaceful. And you know, there was really a show for each moment out there. And of course, if I would get posed, hey, True Detective, why don't you come to Japan, do a little voice acting role over here? Why not? Of course I would freaking do it. You know, I could even play a fucking demon over there. Why not come to Japan, do a little voice acting role, True Detective? I would do it. You know, and how did I learn all of this voice acting stuff? Really? How did I learn all this voice acting stuff? Well, you can probably take a guess that I learned something from all the anime I watched. I can't speak Japanese though, so I would need a translator, but we're gonna figure that out. I'm going to land my fucking ass in Japan at some point in my life. I hope that it will be when I'm about 33 years old. And I'm turning 30 years pretty soon. So, thanks for watching this video. That's some of my favorite animes for you.